Well, joining me now are Fahd Mahmood Khan, who is the CEO of Mohafiz, a risk mitigation and crisis management company that's working directly with areas affected by flooding, distributing aid and resources. Also, I'm joined by Faraz Khan, the founder of Seed Ventures, which works on climate change and environmental sustainability in Pakistan with some of the most disadvantaged people and communities. Faraz and Fahd, thank you very much for joining us on BBC News. And Fahd, I'll turn to you first of all, because we've heard from various charities, NGOs, other companies, that often they seem to be the people who are first to respond to those affected by the flooding rather than directly from the authorities. What are you finding?
Well, thank you for having us. One of the major things that we've seen is because we work with these communities, we're typically more alive to the situation when things like these happen. We've, like, if you talk about our company particularly, we're like a private 911 service. So anywhere in Pakistan, if there's a life-threatening emergency, people typically call us to help them out. And when we see a disaster happening, we can understand and quickly grasp the scale of it. But in this particular case, I would say that everybody's been really alive and switched on to the problem from day one. We've been seeing it. We've seen it develop. You've seen all the NGOs come together, but also the government machinery come together as well. And the scale is so Pakistan is prone to floods. We've had these before, but this time the scale is just it's massive. It's huge, and there are just not enough resources to go everywhere. So, which is why the optimization of resource allocation has to be done really well, and we're seeing things come together, but the scale is massive. The scale is massive.
Yeah, that's interesting, Fahad, because you're responding to the crisis. Faraz, you're looking at the causes of this crisis and what can be done to mitigate it. I mean, in terms of the cause, are you in any doubt that the flooding, these monsoon rains, are getting worse because of the climate crisis?
Absolutely, Nanita. Climate change is real. The Pakistan at this point of time is in the top 10 countries that are going to be directly and more disastrously affected by the climate changes in years to come. And hence that puts Pakistan into extremely vulnerable position. And the sheer quantum and the magnitude of this particular disaster demonstrates that this is just beginning. It's happening all over the world in different forms. In the UK, it has happened. But the sheer quantum of it is no one was prepared for.
It's obviously difficult to get ahead of this then, to be proactive rather than reactive. Fahad, what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. It's something that you couldn't predict, because the thing is, Karachi alone, which is like the biggest metropolitan in Pakistan, has never seen the level of rain that it has seen this time around. In Sindh, this particular area that you were talking about, the weather system that hit us was in that area for 11 days. It was just relentless. You had every bit of land flooded. You have the main GT road, there are reports of it getting flooded everywhere. There are still towns which have no road link, no rail link, and they couldn't get any sort of helicopter relief or aircraft drops simply because the weather didn't let up. And it just kept on hitting, and it's still hitting. And the thing is, this disaster isn't just the immediacy of it right now. It's not just, the present. It's also the future. You have over 2 million acres of crop that's been impacted. You have 214 bridges that have collapsed. You have 40 small dams that are damaged right now. You have, close to 500,000 houses damaged. You have 200,000 houses completely destroyed, and close to 1 million livestock gone. All of that is going to have a long-term effect, and all of that. There's a past to it, which is the climate change thing. That is the cause of the problem. There is the present, and then there's the future. And the sheer scale of it shows you that you need to take a lot of corrective measures today in terms of climate change, but then you need to also build the capacity to respond right now and then keep on, subsisting it till it gets the society back on its feet again. The nature of this disaster is just huge.
And Faraz, we know that so much of this damage to the climate is already baked in. It's happened in decades past, hasn't it? So what are your thoughts on how both at a community level and a government level, Pakistan needs to respond to this challenge both now and in the future?
And I think at the community level, there needs to be an absolute drive for understanding of this disastrous reality that is at our doorsteps. At the government level, I think it's not a matter of just a government, which is Pakistan, because this is not a country-specific issue. This is a global issue. The carbon emissions in Pakistan are absolutely negligible, but the impact of the global carbon emission and all the reasons and the causes, the effect of it, Pakistan and other 9 countries are bearing the most. So in essence, it's a collective global issue rather than a country-specific one. But at the same time, the resource mobilization locally, within the country, and internationally needs to be curated in a timely manner in which that investment needs to come in today as of yesterday, rather than we will think about it and we would actually make it happen. And that's, again, a more of a global and regional issue than just a country-specific issue, in my opinion, I think.
You said, Fahd, that the scale of this came as a shock, but do you think in future that will be the case? Because surely around the world, whether it's fires, drought, or indeed, as in the case of Pakistan, floods, we know these crises are happening on a more and more regular basis. So I wonder, can any country in the future say, we weren't prepared for an event on this scale?
I think the magnitude of events globally is going to drastically increase. I think we're reaching a critical point, and I'll tell you why. Pakistan has some of the highest peaks on the planet, which also means that you have the largest number of glaciers on the planet as well, right? Now, when they start melting, they're going to basically find their way into the rivers again. There will be flooding again. There will be loss of life. There will be calamities like these, and it's just going to happen with more frequency now. Climate change is there. I think the only way to deal with all of this is, yes, as Faraz says, we need to have a more proactive strategy. We need to make this a front burner thing than a back burner thing. But at the same time, we've also got to envisage the nature of calamities that are going to hit as well. Like, for instance, right now, and I say this with a lot of, pride and gusto, there's nothing that unites Pakistan like a calamity, like a national disaster. The outpouring of help is phenomenal from the corporate sector. Every company, every individual is looking for ways to arrange help right now. The government is coming together, the armed forces, the Air Force in particular, the Navy in particular. They've got helicopters flying everywhere, resources, manpower deployed everywhere. But the thing is, there's got to be more method to this madness as well. Because yes, we need to do a lot about climate change right now. We also need to look at building capacity for future emergencies, because this isn't going to let up.
Yeah, that is very much the theme coming out of this conversation, I think, this afternoon. It's about anticipating what's going to happen. It is, of course, first and foremost about dealing with this immediate crisis, but then it is about anticipating that this is probably going to happen again, building resilience and being proactive. That's a word that we've used a lot, isn't it, Faraz?
Absolutely. And again, it has to come, at individual level, I think mostly it exists, but at more collaborative manner, at the institutional level and at the systemic level, this needs to kind of take shape. And like Fahd said, that envisaging the quantums and the avenues of these potential disasters, be it wildfires, be it droughts, recently what happened in the UK, floods that is happening all across the world. We have the tipping points. We know that it is going to happen in these weather patterns. And I think there is enough resources, technology, and capacity available that if intelligently utilized, we can at least be well prepared for these disasters and then work in a very structured manner towards the mitigation strategy of it.
Yeah, very much agreement. Nodding along there, Fahd, to what Faraz was saying about what needs to be done. Good luck to both of you with your work, and thank you very much for your time today. Faraz Khan from Seed Ventures and Fahd Mahmood Khan, CEO of Mohafiz. Thank you very much.
Thank you.